There are other matters afoot. We are getting close to the end of the January transfer window, and it's been a pretty exciting morning. It is time for Deal or No Deal.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting it. What have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So, Oyogo in Portugal and The Athletic is where we start, because they report that Colombia winger Luis Diaz, who we flagged on the show yesterday, will join Liverpool for £37 million plus 12 million in add-ons. The Sun report that the Reds hijacked the deal after an argument with super agent Jorge Mendes, although they offer little detail about the nature of the row. Diaz has clocked up 14 goals in 18 Premier League matches. Phil, what impact would he make, and what would his role be? Does he replace anyone in that front three?
It's amazing how quickly this happens, because you know, we talked about this the other day and it was all systems go. If he's going to the Premier League, it's going to be Spurs. And we had mentioned Liverpool have been linked with Diaz for a long time. And Atletico Madrid were another team that came up, and we were talking about how Porto, Atletico, Liverpool were all in the same Champions League group. And then, you know, I come in on a Friday, I'm watching a bit of Rafa Nadal and I'm thinking, yeah, it's going to be a busy day ahead. Then you start seeing some of the reporters from Merseyside. Paul Joyce was the first one I saw tweet about the Luis Diaz thing. I was like, whoa, this is... And when this happens with Liverpool, it happens quickly.
Thiago.
Yeah. Thiago, there was talk about Thiago for a while, but the Jata thing happened.
Jata was quick.
Fabinho was another quick one, where all of a sudden it's announced and you see them holding the Liverpool jersey and you think, wow, that was quick. Whereas other clubs have been in, you know, drawn out sagas. Like you think of, say, Manchester United and Jadon Sancho. That just went on forever. Where I suppose with Liverpool, when they do their business, they get it done quickly and they tend to keep their cards close to their chest. So
they're not as leaky as Manchester United.
No. And I don't think any Liverpool supporters expected anything to be done in terms of incomings before the transfer window closed on Monday. It was all about outgoings. Would the likes of Origi or Nat Phillips, or there was talk of Joe Gomez, Minamino had been linked with a move to Monaco. Leeds were sniffing around as well. So when you see this, it's a big one. And I suppose the front three have been unbelievable since Salah joined the front three in 2017. Obviously Mane was the season before. Firmino was there when Klopp arrived, and you think back to when Klopp took over and there was a few signature performances where you thought you can see what he's trying to do. Firmino was key to that. I think they won early in Klopp's reign away to Man City, where Firmino was brilliant that day. And then Mane arrives exceptional in his first start away to Arsenal. Then Salah comes and he's just unbelievable. But that's 5 years now. They've got unbelievable bang for their buck out of that front three. And obviously Jata has come in. He's been exceptional. Without Jata this January, Liverpool would have really been in trouble. And Jata came up with the goods, obviously, in the cup semi-final second leg against Arsenal. So it was... It just showed that they need more depth in that attack. So Luis Diaz comes in. We talked about him during the week, where I thought he was perfect for a 4-3-3 system, and he was mentioned with Spurs. Spurs don't play that. They play three at the back, whether they want to go 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2. And I'm thinking, is he going to be a rival for Heung-min Son's position? And I don't think you need to replace Son. Son is exceptional. He's obviously injured at the moment and Spurs are missing him. So when you see him, if this deal does go ahead with Liverpool, you would imagine that he's going to play on that left-hand side. What does that mean for Mane, Firmino, Salah? The three of them, they're all out of contract in 2023. Obviously all eyes are on Salah at the moment, but there's a decision that has to be made on Mane and Firmino. What do you do with them? I'm sure they'll be offered contracts, but it's whether they like the terms of those. Are they short term? Are they happy with the pay that they're going to get? They could be looking at Liverpool saying, we have brought you a Champions League, a Premier League. We've brought the good times back to Liverpool. Give us more than we're worth. Or do they say, we'll go, and do Liverpool say, right, let's try and get some cash for them this summer? Some people could say it's just all about strength and depth. They're just trying to add to it and have more options, and Klopp can rotate and change formations as well. But he is a good player. He played against Liverpool twice in the Champions League. Now, Liverpool won those games comfortably enough. There was the one incident at Anfield, Liverpool, I don't know if you remember it, but it was Diaz that squared that ball across, where I can't remember the Porto player, looked like he had a tap in, and Porto were crying for a penalty in that one. But that was Diaz that broke, and he has pace and he can take on players. There's a goal that he scored against City in the Champions League doing the rounds as well. But yeah, I can see why Liverpool fans would be excited by it, but also because football fans get excited by something new and shiny.
Of course they do. This is a massive moment in the season. I mean, this is as excited as fans have been for quite some time. And also as well, who you attach that to, you mentioned Jata, and Bruno Fernandes is possibly someone as well who kind of comes to mind when you see someone, I guess, making this step up. And even Mo Salah, like, even signed in, nobody, well, I'm sure some people might have seen it coming, but I don't think the majority of people saw the sheer volume of goals that Salah did go on to score coming when he arrived from the league. So these kind of external signings that Liverpool are making and that clubs in the Premier League are making at the moment, they're starting to work, and there's starting to be a few real hits, and I'm sure that's what the excitement is all about this morning. Spurs obviously were due to be signing Diaz, and it didn't happen. They can't catch a break at the moment. Barca seem to have hijacked their Traore deal now as well. Barcelona have offered a loan move with a £29 million option to make a deal permanent. Sky Sports News report that Spurs will not chase a deal if Traore's head has been turned by Barcelona, where he started his professional career. So how big of a miss is this for Tottenham, and what impact will he make at Barcelona?
Look, he's 26 now, and we still talk about Traore the same way, that when he gets going, like, there's a few things better in football than watching Adama Traore in full flight. And when he came over to the Premier League first, he was with Aston Villa, and this was the Aston Villa team that got relegated. But I actually was at Villa Park. A few of us went over to see Villa and Arsenal. This is when actually Arsenal were up around the top of the table at that stage, so that's how long ago it was, Owen. And Villa were really poor. Like, Villa were bracing themselves for relegation, but Traore got the ball in his own penalty area, took off. Like, it was 2-0 at that stage, and the whole crowd, just the buzz, the excitement, got up off their feet. Of course, when he got to the edge of the Arsenal box, he gave the ball away. But you know,
there you go.
Yeah, like, I love watching him play. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he knows what he's going to do at times. So I don't know how he's going to work for Barcelona. It probably tells you where Barcelona are at the moment, where they're signing players like Adama Traore. And that's, no, I don't mean any disrespect to Adama Traore. He's a fine footballer. But a few years ago, he's not even in the conversation to get into a Barcelona team. I think the problem for Spurs is they were looking to use him as a right wing back. And Traore's played there at Wolves before. I don't think it's his favourite position. I can see what Kante was trying to do, and you know, his blistering pace on the counter attack would be excellent. But now,
is Kante fuming this morning?
I'd say Kante at this stage, you're like, if you're Daniel Levy, you're going to have a tough weekend. Like, Tottenham have been notorious for doing stuff late in the transfer window anyway, but you've got this elite manager. You got to give him something to work with, because you watched them against Chelsea last week and they're so far off it. Now, Kante has come out and said that. Obviously, they played them in the League Cup a couple of times as well, and he said, we're so far off Chelsea. They don't have to get to Chelsea just yet. What Spurs have to do first is they have to become the best of the rest. Right now, you've got a gap between the top three and the rest. United are obviously fourth at the moment. I still think United are going to finish fourth. Spurs have a great chance, but they have to get to a consistency level where they're contenders again for top four before they push on. But if they're not bringing in any players, like, I look at their defence and it's awful. Midfield, they need a proper midfielder there that can actually run a game, and they could probably do with another attacker as well. So there's a lot there that Kante needs, but if they don't act quickly, he'll walk.
Yeah,
he will walk. He's got previous of doing it, and you think back to, he won a Premier League with Chelsea. First day the following season, they start as champions. Kante rocks up to Stamford Bridge for their home game against Burnley in a tracksuit. Like, this is the guy that wears the finest suits, but he rocked up in a tracksuit. That was his way of saying, I don't care anymore. And they ultimately lost that game. Now, they still went on to win the FA Cup that season, but he was looking at a team that had won the Premier League saying, let's build on this. Chelsea didn't agree with some of the signings, and he was gone.
Yeah, Yeah, he's a hard man to please, but they knew what they were getting when they appointed him. Speaking of managerial appointments, Frank Lampard to Everton, and the talks have escalated. Reports have also suggested that he wants to headhunt Chelsea and Ireland coach Anthony Barry. So, 1 to 10, rate the idea of Lampard at Everton, and if he gets it, would he last to next Christmas?
This is an absolute nightmare job, I think. You know, we know how things fared at Chelsea for him in the end, and you know, it's been doing the rounds again, the spat he had at Anfield. So it would be interesting if Lampard was across the way, Everton, Liverpool, those Merseyside derbies would have, well, they already have spice anyway, but thinking back to some of the things he had to say about Jurgen Klopp, that's when he was Chelsea manager. Now he would be at a club where they're so far off Liverpool. They're so far off where Everton should be. And that's not Lampard's fault. I don't think it's Benitez's fault either. I think the owner has given a lot of money to people that have not done the right thing with it. I think they've definitely a close shave with the way Vitor Pereira went on TV the other day. Was honestly, it was like something you would have seen in Dream Team. That's what sprung to mind when I was watching it, where this cannot be real. This guy has just done an interview and he's gone to give an update on TV.
Television.
It was unbelievable. Now, I know he was trying to fight his corner. It was like, I deserve more respect. Don't be spraying graffiti around Merseyside saying that you don't want me. Like, you have to listen to what I want to say. But the alarm bell should have been ringing for Mashiri when those bits of graffiti were seen around Merseyside. But then again, the alarm bells should have been ringing for Mashiri when it was first talked about that Benitez would come in. Because remember, it went quiet for a while and then it resurfaced and then he got the job, whereas clearly Everton fans didn't want him. So Mashiri has shown that he's not capable of making the right decisions. Lampard just seems like he's available. That's the reason he's getting the job.
Should he bring would it be good news for Ireland if Anthony Barry goes?
I would personally rather see Anthony Barry stay at Chelsea because he's probably got more job security. Plus he's working with better players.
Yeah. One last thing quickly before we wrap, Phil, because time is against us. We spoke about Jesse Lingard yesterday. He's moved to Newcastle, still on ice. West Ham and Spurs have had interest shot down as they're seen as direct rivals. Leicester, Everton, Villa, Burnley, all interested. Will Jesse stay at Manchester United?
I think he's going to move, but I don't like the Newcastle one. Looks like it's not going to happen, and this was always going to be a problem for Newcastle. They're the richest club in the world now. People see them coming. Also as well, they're in a relegation scrap. They're fighting for survival, so clubs are thinking, let's take them to the cleaners. And that's if it's true that the reported fees, that if the bonus that Newcastle would have to pay if they avoid relegation, 15 million. Now 120 million to stay in the Premier League. People would say that would still be worthwhile if Jesse Lingard scores goals that keeps you in the Premier League. But Newcastle are going to have this problem where they're not going to get deals over the line because people are just going to take the piss out of them basically, and that's the way it is. But I think he needs to get a move. I said it the other day, I think West Ham would make sense. They need a bit of a freshen up because they've had a long season. They have European football to come. So go back to where you were happy last season.
I mean, that makes no sense if he goes back there, because what was the headlines I wrote out this morning? Prisoner of war. United are terrified to be left with egg in their faces if they sell him to a rival. Sell him to Newcastle then, or not a rival necessarily. Sell him to another club and seeing him come good. Sell him to Newcastle, not West Ham, because I mean West Ham could.
Are West Ham a rival though? I don't think so.
Mathematically speaking,
yeah, I don't know. I'd say let's revisit this in 2 or 3 months. I don't think West Ham will be up there.
Like, I agree that there are clubs in a different tier for sure. But right now, I mean, you're safer selling it to Newcastle than West Ham. That is either or no deal. It's going to be an interesting weekend to see how a couple of those develop. Phil, have a good one.
Cheers.
That's it for this week.
Thanks, Phil.